G'day and welcome to this week's Camera Ready Confessions, a weekly live stream bridging personal branding and video marketing so you can shine as the obvious choice. I'm Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, and I help you shine as the obvious choice using your personalized video toolkit or content engine. We are slowly changing that elevator pitch for everyone, folks. Mainly because I realized I'm not more than just a video toolkit that I help you with. I help you with the entire content engine. Yay! If you are watching or listening to this live stream, you can do so on the platform of choice. Just make sure to check out the links below or check out the first link in the show notes. Check out more information about what we do at the Video Confidence Coach. Comment your questions, your thoughts, or your ideas of camera confessions throughout today's stream. And after the live stream, don't worry if I haven't caught you live. Hi, replay squad. And I can respond to your call in the comments. And do not worry, I will always do my best to respond to them, especially after I've gone live, and do my best to respond to you and give you the most and best answer that I can to these things. If you want to find out more information about our live streams, podcasts, events, offerings, and services, you can check it all out at vcc.training. That is vcc.training. I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians of the land on which I conduct my business. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Island people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them in their fight against injustice. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And yes, I always trip up on the traditional custodians part. I am doing my best to try and slow down, because I've had a couple of you mention that I should need to slow down that part, and I do, and I still trip up. But as we go live, NAIDOC Week is right around the corner. So make sure that you do your best to support your local, not just First Nations businesses, but as well as your First Nations community orientation programs, or that of those charities alike. For example, our way we have that we like to support at the Video Confidence Coach is the Wadawurrung Cooperative, which helps local Wadawurrung people with both health, childcare, and other community aspects. There is a flag rising on the Monday of NAIDOC Week. So if you are down here at the Buuuuuut Cultural Centre, make sure you check that out. I don't think I'll be able to attend it live because I do believe I will be on holiday as that goes live, but please do, if you are in the area, please do check it out. And if you are interested, make sure to check out JIRA, which is also another charity that we support to help women and children fleeing domestic violence. We're always doing our best to support their events and their initiatives as they come up, especially coming up to, during, and after NAIDOC Week. It is always good to support your First Nations peoples, but events like this always are nice to highlight what is going on. What we've accomplished over this past week. So as I have mentioned all throughout this particular quarter, we are looking for program managers or people who are crafting either speaking events or wanting to run workshops in their companies, who need someone to talk about personal branding and video marketing. I am your gal. Please put my name forward. I would be greatly appreciated. That's what I'm here for. And as you can imagine, we are gearing up to move. So next, Camera Ready Confessions, you will see we will not be here. Well, we won't be here because we'll be on holiday. But we also won't be here because we're moving studios. So it's like, as per usual, when it rains, it pours, it rains, and everything's kind of brilling into one. So as we finish up, to my right, I have got so many boxes. We're going to be moving them all out as soon as we finish our session today. And it's been a lot. It's been a lot. So when it comes to the people that we've had conversations this week, it is a lot less than we usually do, but I have had conversations with so Ri, Jesse, Jasper, Rick, Caitlin, Mel, and Anthony. Thank you so much for your time this week, and my apologies if any or of my thoughts and my thoughts have been all over the place. It is going to happen a little bit when you're moving and also managing everything else. So thank you so much for your time and your patience during this chaotic time. But as soon as we reach July, hopefully after NAIDOC Week, things will be settling down. We will be situated in hopefully a forever home. We'll see how that goes. And from there, we'll do our best to lock in from there. And we'll continue to give the best that we can with the camera ready confessions, as well as new initiatives that we've got coming up. Yay! And looking at what we have at the Video Confidence Coach, we have our Unboring Your Brand podcast, which this weekly released episode 116, which was Good Work Doesn't Speak for Itself. I've had a couple of comments about that, and people have been having fun with really what does that mean, Zoe? So feel free to check out the podcast episode about that, where we talk about why even if you are the best in your world, if no one knows about it, they don't know, they can't recommend you. So keep that in mind as you continue your work and in growing your personal brand. And as well, you've got the Vic podcasters. We are gearing up for the event, which I have just finished setting up the pre-stuff for. The event itself is you've got episodes Now What, video plus growth plus money live Q&A. So that is going to be Wednesday next week. Make sure to check it out at the you can find it via Humanitics, via Vic Podcasters, or you can just check it out via the link vcc.training/Vic-podcasters to find out more information there. That is it's part of our quarterly live stream, where we take the opportunity to answer people's questions about podcasting, and that is all there available in the chat. And for all those who register, you get to watch, also have access to the recording as well. So in the event that you couldn't make it live, you're also able to watch it live. So got it there for you. All right, let's take a drink. And now it's time to talk rants. So, the topic of today is how to fix meh engagement. And what I want to do is I first want to have a little bit of just a little rant, if you so choose, and so let me. Please, thank you. The rant that I have for you today is, when it comes to fixing engagement, I want to establish a couple of things. So engagement is not just the vanity metrics, and vanity metrics are essentially numbers that look good on either the outside or the inside, but don't actually mean a whole lot. What I mean by this is subscribers on YouTube. That used to mean a lot of things back in the day. And when I say back in the day, as in like 2 or 3 years ago. But now it is more about the watch time, the amount of people consuming, watching your content, engaging with your content via comments, via likes, via maybe joining your memberships, whatever ultimate things that you have. It is not just about the subscriber count anymore. There are so many popular and successful YouTube channels that have really low subscriber counts. Why? Because it is about the money. It is about the retention. It is about the ads that they can ultimately run on the videos that they have and the platform that they run. For you in your situation, when it comes to engagement, it is usually thought of as how many likes has this gotten? How many insert whichever emoji people are using to comment, to like a post. Is it based on comments? Kind of. When it comes to engagement, I really want you to focus on the numbers that really matter for you. And as someone who is growing a personal brand and someone who is trying to do that with video marketing, because this is why you're here, you are trying to encourage comments. You are trying to encourage questions. You are trying to encourage people sticking around to watch the video or to engage with you in a conversation. Because those people that have a conversation with you are then likely to go to your website, to book in a session with you, to purchase your product, to do whatever action needs to be happening next. You need to be having constant conversations. I am aware that is a lot of work, but that is what it is to grow a personal brand or run a business. You have to continually keep going. I am aware that it is frustrating and it is sad and it's annoying, but that's what needs to happen. And when it comes to your engagement, and when it is low, it is meh, or maybe it's fine, but it could be better. It usually revolves around your intentions. Now, I want to stress here that the algorithms of whatever social platform that you're using are going to be heavily controlled, sometimes unwillingly, by the people who are poking and prodding things, because their goal is to keep people on the platform and have them watch ads so they can make money. That is their goal. Your goal, on the other hand, is probably different. So there's going to be some conflicts when it comes to the engagement that you're trying to achieve from your posts. And when it comes to your engagement being meh, it means that it is engaging with some people. Your audience, your message, there is some synergy happening there, but not enough as there possibly could be. Now, I want to stress, I want you to avoid thinking or wishing to go viral. Going viral can be, how do I say this? Going viral, and feel free to check out our past episodes about going viral. When going viral in the past meant that there was a lot of people and a lot of interest, and sometimes if you already had all the background steps already sorted out, either selling out of your products, selling out of your services, whatever it may be. That is what used to happen. Now, virality still occurs, but it is incredibly, incredibly generalized. The more people that you get seeing your stuff, the more people are going to take it and then steal that engagement for themselves. There are more likely people who are going to take whatever your message is in bad faith, because we've got to be polar opposites in this world. And then in turn can lead to backlash that is nothing to do with you, to be perfectly honest, but it's just the cycle of the internet. So what I want you to keep in mind into your perspective of what your numbers mean is, does this mean that people are going to my website? And if they're bouncing off your website, that's another issue entirely. The way that your engagement numbers are supposed to work is to keep interest, keep you in their feed, keep you in their algorithm, so that they take that action to go to your website, maybe to comment on a post and continue appearing in their algorithm. Your meh numbers are dependent entirely on you. And for a lot of people that I've worked with, they would have really small numbers, like in the single digits, of comments, of reshares, of likes. They had a very strong super fan base of people who really liked what they had to say. But they were like, nothing's happening here, Zoe. Nothing's really happening from here. What does that mean? And I'm going to ask you, what does that mean for you? Does it mean that people aren't purchasing your products or services? Well, we can work around a few things, because it's all about that marketing funnel. And some of you have probably come across this in your, personal branding journey or your marketing journey in general. There is a funnel, and what this funnel does is it's bigger up the top, where you get more people coming in, and you do your best to fill more people into that bucket. And then the people coming out throughout, and the people who are down the bottom, are the people who are going to purchase from you and repeatedly keep purchasing from you. And that is where you are at. You are at the situation where, when it comes to engagement, that's a top of the funnel situation. It's more about just getting more people to see your stuff. And that will mean changing tactics, trying new things, being a little bit of a scientist and hypothesizing things and trying the new things out. You have more opportunities to increase your engagement, the more opportunities that you take. If you only post once or twice a week, and it's a static image that you've used a couple of times now, and people are a little bit bored of it, yeah, the engagement's going to be quite low. But if you experiment, maybe with a video, or maybe talk about a current event that is happening either in your industry or maybe adjacent to your industry, and the wisdom that you can provide, you are the connoisseur, you are the personal brand builder, and people are there to really need to understand where they need to go. Now, I'm not talking about your basic FAQ posts about people when they realize, oh, you're a personal trainer. Here is a question for you. You can definitely answer those in videos. I call them FAQs, your basic FAQs. When it comes to high engagement content, it needs to be highly relevant. It needs to be very engaging. It needs to be on point. It needs to have a really clear rhythm to it. This will take time. This will take some experimentation, but you need to invest time to be able to create those things, to create those assets. And I want to repeat, posting it more than once. There are plenty of times where I've worked with people where they've posted a video, it didn't work for whatever reason, and then they just dropped it and walked away. That is not the game we are playing here, folks. If you are trying to improve your engagement, you need to do it more than once. You need to trial things. You need to edit things. You need to try different descriptions. You need to maybe that first 3 seconds, which is like the hook of a video, maybe trial it out for a different one. you constantly need to try and innovate. And that can be exhausting. I completely agree. But if you are trying to improve engagement, we're going to try and make sure that we try things out, experiment, and bring up those numbers. And again, focusing on the numbers that actually matter for you to make a bigger impact with what you do. And for me personally, in the way that I grow my personal brand, I care more about the people that are visiting my website, who are clicking that link, than I do my social media posts. My social media posts, honestly, are like a proof of life more than anything. And that proof of life, yes, I might be posting 2 to 3 times a day, but I'm posting relevant posts that are together, that are consistently rolling through. And when people have engaged with, comment, liked, or maybe stayed a little bit too long in a video, the algorithm's going to feed them more of my back catalog to not just keep them engaged, but to answer their questions they have about my particular topic and area and interest and niche. And then those engagement numbers go up because you've got more stuff to back up what you were saying. So your numbers aren't necessarily meh unless you make them meh. And if you are still unsure of what that means for you, please do reach out and have a disco chat with me. Always happy to chat about your numbers, and always happy to chat about things that you can try that are still within your wheelhouse, maybe even slightly outside of your comfort zone, to try new things and try better things. Because it's not about you, it's about your audience. And you've got this. You just need to try new things for them and their benefit. Terry mentions an idea that is just an idea until it's put into fruition. Thank you so much for reiterating that, Cherry, because there's plenty of people who, I want to say this now, you can have a million ideas a day, but until something is actually being done, then it's for naught. And I'm not saying that in reference specifically to what we mentioned before about how do you know when you're giving too much? But if people, take your ideas and implement them, awesome, cool. They are doing what you said you should do, and you're an expert. And say, for example, as many people that I have networked with and communicated with, so say, for example, a tradie who I regularly have chats with because we are not anywhere in the same spheres of influence at all. But we regularly see each other at networking events to the point where we see each other out of the corner of our eye and go, yeah. And then we grab a drink, we stand in the middle, and them and their partner both work in the business, and we both have a nice chat about things and just laugh and have a really good time. And welcome, and thank you everyone who enjoyed my little rant there. With those rants, it's usually very off the cuff, off the top of the dome, and if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, I will edit it to make sure it does make sense later. Trust me. So today we are going to, instead of doing our usual community questions, for those who aren't usual watchers of the Camera Ready Confessions, usually we have community questions which are, say, 3 to 5 questions from the community that I take the opportunity to answer as quickly and succinctly as possible. This week, I thought I'd take a little bit of a break due to us getting ready to move. I didn't have the opportunity to collect my questions like I usually do, and I kind of just, my apologies for those who really hanker and hang out for those community questions there. So what I will offer you instead is 2 back-to-back podcast episodes for the Unboring Your Brand podcast, which we like to record here on the Camera Ready Confessions. And today we're going to be talking about 2 subjects which are really close to my heart and something that people have been really interested to learn more about, which is about that your personal brands need assets, not just output. And you haven't been giving, so that's why it's hard asking. I know we're going to do some things today that people don't really like the idea of. We're going to have some fun answering those questions today. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat, and I look forward to answering those as they come up. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say. But now we are going to move straight on to the Unboring Your Brand podcast episode. Your personal brand needs assets, not output. But if you have this, again, a good starting place of something like a customer avatar or an ideal persona or just, again, this information of who exactly am I talking to, why am I talking to them, and how can I solve their problem. Every piece of content you create is an asset. Let me scream it again for the heavens. Every piece of content you create is an asset. Most people use it once, move on. They drop it like a dead wet fish. But you're smarter than that. And once you build a strong personal brand or get your way onto doing so, you use your content over and over and over again. And I'm going to show you how. Welcome to the Unboring Your Brand podcast. This is where we put in the intro. We'll get going. And yes, that was a bit of a longy intro, more than my usual ones. But today I want to talk about something that I'm really passionate about and something that I've had a lot of people asking about on how I go about doing what I'm doing. So the specific question I had from one of my community members, Keiko, and the specific question that they had for me was, I put so much effort into creating content, but it feels like I only use it once. Am I missing something? Zoe, I see what you do all the time and it absolutely astounds me. How do you begin to do all of this? Well, let me show you, bestie. Come along. So when it comes to thinking about what you're doing with your personal brand. So, of course, I want to straight out for those who maybe are new watchers or listeners to the podcast here, I want to bring you on a journey and remind you that I am in the aspect of building a personal brand, growing a personal brand with the power of video marketing. That is what I do. That is my shtick. I talk all things marketing. Of course, video is my mainstay, but I do a lot of other stuff, a lot of other strategy and a lot of other work when it comes to marketing yourself. And in that realm of marketing yourself, that comes along with creating content, creating assets. And I want you to start thinking about when you are recording yourself, be it on a video, when you are joining a podcast, when you're recording a podcast, when you are doing anything for your personal brand, which is ultimately for your audience at the end of the day, I want you to think about it as an asset you have created. And if you are continuing to add upon that asset, be it a podcast or maybe a weekly live stream, or maybe something that you're doing consistently over time, you are building that asset for your personal brand and also for your audience. Because anytime you show up, whether it is for a podcast guest, live stream, event, or a video, that moment is captured and can be reused. I want to stress that moment is captured and can be reused. A lot of people that I've been working with, especially recently, are getting burnt out. I wonder why. Gestures to everything. There is going to be a bit of that in the climate that we're working with. Not just economically, but just vibes based. And as I speak to you today, we are currently moving studio. So we are definitely feeling that at the moment. So there is a lot of stress going on around. And a lot of the people that I've been speaking to lately have it in their head that they need to get their message out there. They need to push out. They need to take action. Good. Something is sinking in. I'm really proud of you for taking that action. Proud of it and proud of you for reaching out to me. Most of these have been disco chats, so I highly appreciate you coming on board. Have a disco chat with me, which is a 13-minute complimentary chat where it's you and me. We talk about your marketing and get your personal brand going. I digress. The shift that is taking, which I really implore you, if you are someone who is still stuck in perfectionism, stuck in it's not the right time yet, or anything that's making you feel stuck, I want you to take an opportunity to take that action. But I want you to shift your thinking, and this will definitely help you with the stuckness. Help you by thinking that creating an asset, creating video, podcast, audio, whatever it is, this asset is for your business and your brand and ultimately for your audience. Because an asset is something that keeps working after you've stopped working. It's not just a one-off post. That's not an asset. It's repurposing pieces of content over and over again is an asset. Because the effort that you put in goes in once. Editing the video, getting it ready, getting it for prime time, whatever it is, you put that effort in, and the value comes out in many different formats, weeks, months, years down the line. Because it's not being about a content machine. As Keiko mentioned, how do you keep doing it, Zoe? It's because I've been doing this for a while, and I've been having the mindset that whatever I do is an asset for me to repurpose, not just to feed the algorithm, not just to feed the algorithms or the content machine. It is about making what I already have and create it to go further. One thing that I want to highlight to people is, and especially I've been working with a couple of people who are pivoting their brand. So I've got a podcast episode coming up real soon talking about rebranding when going from one industry to another. And they've been shit scared. Totally understand. Totally get it. They are shit scared about making this pivot, losing their, current community and being seen and being ostracized by a community that they're trying to move into. I understand. It is something that is not easy to do. But when you think about things strategically, you are able to take action and you are able to experiment in that fine line, because boxes are nice, but when they are blurry, you can start playing outside of those blurred lines. And when it comes to the assets that you are creating, I want to reiterate that you use them more than once. When you are recording anything, you are doing it and using it more than once. I have people who are starting their live streaming journey, who are ultimately doing it to build up their confidence rather than the actual output. And they live streamed to one person, and that person was me. And they felt like they just wasted their time. But they hadn't. I was able to take away that recording from the live stream, cut it up into 38 different pieces of content with the support of AI tools, but mainly with my own editing skills and prowess, because I have skills. And from there, she's been able to grow. I think she was able to turn, she had 400 followers on Instagram, specifically on Instagram. And then she's moved it to over 6,000 in less than a couple of weeks, all from assets that she created from a live stream that she thought she absolutely sucked at. And imagine that type of situation for you. Because what you create can be and will be reused again. Yes, a lot of the things that you're going to be saying, doing, and talking about may be very relevant to that moment in time. But there are going to be shit people in the world making bad decisions, and you can also comment on them as well. And when it comes to your industry, there are going to be people who are going to ask questions. They are going to ask the same questions again and again and again and again, and you don't want to keep repeating yourself. So recording, answering a question, putting that on not just your social media, but your website, and then post that again every 60 days. Bada bing, bada boom. Your social media is designed as a proof of life. Unless you are actively getting leads from there, then we can talk about that later. But for now, your social media is proof, laying the foundation that you are growing your personal brand and that you know what you're talking about, and you're doing that by creating assets. And then with those assets, you are then repurposing them everywhere. Predominantly on your website, because your website is what you control. But from there, use this, and the reason I bring this up in this episode today is to remind you that this is a mentality that I came with a very long time ago, where I arguably, even now, haven't been that successful. Now, of course, when I talk to people directly, they may say otherwise. But I always put a new goalpost, or I shifted them ever so slightly, because I never felt like I got the numbers, or I've never felt that I've been successful enough, quote unquote, whatever that means. And I don't want you to do that to yourself. I don't want you to feel like you've put so much effort and time into setting up for a podcast guesting opportunity, and then because it didn't get the numbers that you wanted or the numbers that you perceived, that or it didn't immediately go viral, God forbid, that it's a failure. No, no. It never was and it never is, because you have thought of going into this situation as creating an asset that you will be using again and again and again. Now, that may feel like you're putting some pressure on yourself. Lift that pressure for yourself, because there's the edit. There's Zeddy, which I like to call them. It's my little editor. There are also AI tools. There are also things that can make this process easier for you. But you need to take that first step and record it first, with the mindset that no matter how it turns out, reuse it later. No matter what you end up saying, honestly, you can repurpose it again to relate to a future event that occurs. Because a podcast episode alone can become multiple different things. This is where I recommend to people, I think I recently heard it called spider webbing. I just call it repurposing because it is what it is. But from one podcast episode, be it 15, 20 minutes long, like even on the shorter end of a podcast episode, you can extract that transcript, turn it into a blog post, turn it into social media snippets. These are the short clips that people show to get people interested, not just in your podcast, but in your personal brand and what you have to give. You can pull out shorter video clips that you can edit into longer form clips. You can create quote graphics. You can create a future reference point for other episodes, like I do here on the Unboring Your Brand podcast all the time. I always reference previous and past episodes that are more, in tune to what you need to get help with, because I've already put in the effort. I can just reference those episodes. Say, for example, I'm going to reference one right here, episode 65, Rethink Your Social Media Feed. There you go, bada bing, bada boom. Add that to your social media, add that to your podcast catcher feed. You can line that up to next, and you will find out more ways about rethinking your social media feed. That is why I want you to rethink about the assets that you are creating. You are putting in the effort, you are putting in the time, you are putting in the strategy to make sure that your message is being heard by your audience. Make sure it is being utilized as best and as consistently and constantly as it possibly can. That may feel like it's very stressful. I want you to set away that stress, because you are doing it for your audience and not you. You're going to reuse this asset again and again. And if it's shit, that's all right. Edit the good bits, show the good bits. That is okay. Or what I recommend, especially for people who do have that ability to, hand it over to someone who's not you. Someone who understands who your audience is. Awesome. Got a boss. Pull out those sections. Great. Repurpose them. Don't even think about them. Just get it done. Because that's what an asset is. An asset is something for you to reuse again and again and again when you are no longer doing it live in the moment. Let's take another example. So let's just say that you've done a live stream and it's something that you were working up to, like you put all your notes there, you took a lot of time, you took my advice, and you've done your best to get everything ready for people. And then the live stream, of which you do for say an hour and a half, is like, it has an audience of like 3 people, if that. Pretty sure one of them was your mum. That recording, that live stream, is still an asset. You can share it everywhere, so it can be seen by multiple people. You can pull smaller sections from it into videos that you post on your website or on blogs, or maybe you use it as backup material for future talking points that you say. You use it in your email marketing, on your website and on YouTube. To further solidify your point, you pull out the description and you use it for social media posts and snippets and blog posts. Everything that you do can be reused again and again and again. If you are hosting a free or maybe a volunteer event that produces a recording, even if, and this is what I highly recommend to people, even if it is just something that you're doing, like you're speaking to a group, which I do quite regularly, when it comes to kids, I do not recommend recording, just because obviously there's a lot of gray areas around that. But if you are speaking to a crowd or a group, do your best to either get a recording set up so you can record your voice, or if you have the opportunity to, just get the butt of your phone. So we've got a phone And obviously this is just screen. But then you've got the bottom bit here, which is where you speak into if you're holding it to your face like it is a normal phone. And if you've got a jacket, shove it there, where the butt at the end is closest to your mouth. And turn on the voice notes app and record the audio. Again, you are the one putting in the effort and the work. Reutilize it more than once. And if the people that you're working with have an issue with you recording your own speech, that is a red flag. You are the one doing the work. Now, obviously, when I say red flag, this is for industries. Like if there's proprietary information, obviously don't record that. But if it's situations where you're providing a free speech to, cement your personal brand, take that opportunity to record it. It may not be the best quality. Everything could be finished. Everything could be fixed in the edit. To the best quality, maybe not. But that you're giving it a shot. You're trying. You're thinking of it as the asset. You're thinking of it as the asset that it is. That recording can become a lead magnet. Can become a course model. It can become a way of showcasing your skills to attract paid work later. That's what it is, an asset. You've already put the work in. Get as much as you can out of it, babe. Do your best. There are 2 types of content worth knowing. There are my usual 2 types of content that I like. You have your evergreen content. This is content and these are assets that will stay relevant for years, that you can edit once and post them again and again and again and again and again. This is evergreen stuff. This is what I like to call maybe your FAQ content. So these are questions that people ask you all the time. You can just repeat it again and there you go. Well done. Use it as an opportunity to, when people ask you questions, you can send them a link to a YouTube video, or maybe if you're fancy, a blog post that contains the video of you answering that question and a longer written up version of what you're saying. Giving that opportunity to people who need to hear from you. And the second type of content worth knowing is what I like to call your spark content. This is content that is about a very current, short-lived trend or topic that is specific. But if you take away the elements of the people that you're talking about, it's actually got a pretty long shelf life. Or, for example, maybe there's a world event that is really impacting your industry. Maybe you're thinking, oh, it's only really going to be relevant for like a couple of days or something. But you can definitely continue using that as referencing that part in the past. Because maybe you have an interesting take, or maybe your thoughts on the subject are really unique for your industry. That is evergreen, baby. You may be talking about a very specific short-lived thing, but that type of content is evergreen. Because your spark content can be shortened into shorter clips, and it can take that evergreen life of its own. Or maybe you even take out all the names that you're talking about and just wait until some famous person does something stupid that aligns to what you said previously, and then you just repost it again. Oh, look at that. You're current and on trend. I do scare people when I say that. It's all a cycle. It's all just happening over and over and over again. And Keiko, I want to remind you that your goal is not to produce more. Your goal is to use what you have and produce it in more ways. The reason this is important, and the reason why, quote unquote, you see me everywhere, is because, of course, you're part of my membership, so you're going to see and hear from me. But because I take the action to make it a habit. Whenever I take on the challenge of something, whenever I agree to appear on a podcast or go into a recording, or maybe even speak in an event, I always back up by taking my microphone and recording myself and taking the opportunity to realize that content later. Yes, it does take a bit of work, but it's work that is going to serve you again and again in the future. Your assets aren't worth it if they're just sitting on your computer, lying dormant in files. For some reason, my notes just crashed there a little bit. There we go. Assets are not assets if they're just sitting on your computer, doing nothing, collecting dust. They need to be out in the world doing the work. And you know what that work is? That work is growing your personal brand. Do your best when you have an opportunity of any kind to think ahead about recording or capturing anything that you do. Before you do anything, when you have been given an opportunity, or maybe you're taking the opportunity by the reins to do it yourself, always think ahead. How can I capture this? How can I record this? Not just for myself, but for my audience. Ask yourself, is there many ways that this can be used? Yes, probably. Is there ways that my audience would like this to be used? Most definitely. How do your audience like to consume information? Do they like a long blog post that they can really sink their teeth into? Or they prefer a podcast? Or are they someone who likes a live stream because they like that live dynamic? Whatever it may be, you have the opportunity to reuse that. Every single session, every single event, every single podcast episode, every single conversation that you're having with clients, obviously with the permission of your clients, can be used to fill your content library for weeks, for months, for years. And that last action of repurposing that content so you don't have to constantly hit record. Now, I am thankful that I obviously am in this position of marketing, but I make this a habit. I film every single Friday at 10 a.m. my camera ready confessions, where I am recording my podcast episode right now. Like, you are watching and listening to my episode right now that I repurpose into a podcast episode that also gets repurposed into a blog, that get repurposed into clips, that repurposed into snippets, which then I just funnel into a content library, which I just cycle through again and again and again and again. Because a lot of those algorithms are incredibly fleeting. And I say that with love. They are incredibly fleeting, that you can post something and then within hours it's almost dull, old news. So just wait a little bit and post it again. Maybe post something else that's in your content library. And if it works really well, post it other places. Feel free to check out my podcast episode about going viral and Donna from Mental My Success about how I walked her through those steps. And you can do that yourself if any of your content happens to go viral. But I want you to think of the work that you're doing as building assets, because every piece of content, of video, of audio, or of written documentation you create is something that belongs to your brand toolkit and is not just your feed, but it ultimately belongs to your audience. And one thing I am going to stress that is not in my notes is that do not be worried if people see the same thing again, because they'll just scroll through. Oh, I've seen this. Oh, I've already seen this. That's all right. I'll scroll through. But that's why you leave a little bit of time between your posts, because they're not seeing the same things over and over again. They're seeing new things. I'm going to tell you now that you are going to create so much more content with this mindset and with this idea of creating assets for your brand that you will not know what to do with yourself sometimes because there's just so much stuff. But that's what it's designed to make it easier for you. And that's what I would like for you. Because anything that you capture, you record, or you create for your brand is a potential asset. And even if you thought you gave the worst speech of your life, you can always do a voiceover about, hey, I felt like this was the worst speech of my life. And yet, I got 3 leads out of it. Whatever the story is. You do your best to capture. Do your best to cover. Do your best to capture what you can. And this does mean thinking ahead, which, depending on the situation, may not give you that much of time and opportunity, which is why I recommend creating a kit, even if it is just knowing where the apps are on your phone that you can record something with. Or maybe getting yourself a Bluetooth microphone so you can stick it in your phone, stick it on your clothes, and just hit record and know it's recording in the background. And if it doesn't record, annoying. But also, the people in the room got the message and they will be taking action from there. And if not, you are going to remind them. Always remind them. I want to stress now that if you are thinking this, if that repurposing is lazy, I'm going to tell you now it is not. Almost every single personal brand repeats and repurposes their content because it's the smart thing to do. One piece of content can work across your podcast, social media, website, email marketing, lead magnets. Anything that you are doing online can be repurposed and repurposed again. That also goes in the real world too. If you've already put work into something, make a template out of it. Make it a lead magnet. Make it do something that can work for you. Because evergreen content stays relevant for years, while spark content can ride a trend, but can also last a lot longer than you expect with the right editing. And your assets only work when you are out there in the world, posting them and reposting them and reposting them again, and not just leaving the content sitting in your files, because that helps no one. Even your computer doesn't really care at the end of the day. Always make sure that you back up your stuff. Always do that in general. I might even do a podcast episode about backing up your stuff. Feel free to let me know if you want that. And the last thing I'll mention is that think of your assets and think of repurposing them before you hit record, so you can get far more value out of everything that you create, because you are worth it. And you are worth putting in that time and energy to have that ready to go, so you don't need to do it every day and burn yourself out in the meantime. Thank you for joining us on the Unboring Your Brand podcast, where, as you can tell here, I'm going to recommend episode 65 and episode 98. Episode 65 is Rethink Your Social Feed. So if you're looking at a blank social media calendar, I'm going to ask you to reuse stuff you already have in low effort ways, because repurposing is a muscle action using assets you've already created. Where episode 98 is about repurposing like a business owner. I've already done an episode all about this. So you can go into turning your live streams into full content marketing system that leads into your website, your email list, your socials, and I'll give you a practical guide on how to do that and keep your mindset up in the meantime. So what I want you to do is think about the most recent thing that you've created. Was it a social media post? Was it a podcast episode? Was it a live stream? Was it a conversation you had with a client? Now from here, pick out 2 sections of that content, 2 small pieces. If it's text, maybe a paragraph or 2, where you were really in your element and really giving the right good advice to the person who needed to hear it. Then from there, repurpose it into something that you can use right here, right now. Even if it is just a simple Canva template, the fact is that you're doing something, that you've got things going, that it's there. You're not thinking too hard about, you just putting it out there. You can refine it later, because it's all about your BFM. What is your bare effing minimum? How quickly can you move this? I think you can. I know you can, and it's assets you've already created. Go do it. And as I suggested, make sure that if you are someone who is still a bit overwhelmed by this, or just not sure how this is going to apply to your personal brand, please do reach out to me via my complimentary Disco chat, where we have 13 minutes of one-on-one chat with each other, where we can map out your existing content and start having it work harder for you and your personal brand right now. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast, and I look forward to seeing and hearing from you in the next one. Bye. The next thing I want to touch on is visual consistency. Now, I'm not talking just about the type of posts that you put on social media. This is your all over, the color palette of you as a person and the way you show up. As you can imagine, for people who are watching me right now, I have a fair few visual consistency clarifiers that I do with my business and my brand. I wear dark, bright blue. So I always wear like a blue shirt or a blue dress. That makes me stand out. I usually have very large hair because I don't like to brush it and it just gets very big. I always dye the ends of my hair blue. So again, that goes with the blue consistency of my visual appearance. And when I go out and put makeup on, I usually have a heart-shaped lipstick. And usually, and to be honest, over the past year, dramatic eye makeup and colors and gems and glitter and everything like that. And that goes with my entire of my authenticity and my clear message, because it communicates to the people who are attracted to that type of stuff, and they go, cool, you look fun. They see me at a networking event or at an event in general, and they go, I want to talk to you. You are my type of person. And awesome, because you are my type of client. Come on board. Thank you for joining us and that episode of the Unboring Your Brand podcast, which we recorded live and we're going to repurpose into assets. Thank you everyone for joining in. So I want to thank you all for your comments, your questions and your thoughts and your ideas that you've posted in the comments on whichever platform you've watched us on. And for those who are watching in the replay, don't worry, I have seen it and I will be coming for your comments real soon. Perceive that as a threat if you like. If you've missed any part of today's stream, or you can watch or listen to the whole live stream on our show notes, which you will find at vcc.training/camera-ready-confessions, where you'll find this and all of our camera ready confessions that we have recorded weekly for the past year and a half, 2 years. There's a lot of them. And next session, so it's not going to be next week because we are going to be moving studio and on holiday. So the next session, which we are going to be logging in, so feel free to check out our scheduled sessions as they come up. You'll see them soon enough. The next session is going to be your brand needs a clear hook. So let's get ready to film this bit. When you finally sit down and start your video that you've been putting off for a very long time, mind you, your lights, your camera, and your action is all ready to go, you stand there looking like a plucked chicken. Freshly plucked, I should say. Because you're not quite sure how to open it, how to start this, how to get it rolling. So you shake off your rapidly developing nerves and you try and ease in by warming up and getting rolling and adding context, and then you just end up vomiting out of your mouth because you lose people before you even get to the damn point. Without that clear hook, without that clear start point for yourself, your video asks too much from every viewer way too quickly, and you're left there like a fart in an elevator. So in this Camera Ready Confessions with me, your host, Zoë Wood, the video confidence coach, I'm going to walk you through just one clear hook that goes with one. In this Camera Ready Confessions, me, Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, is going to walk you through one clear hook that it helps you do all the heavy lifting. So let me redo that again, Zoe. In this Camera Ready Confessions, in this upcoming Camera Ready Confessions, Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, is going to give you the one clear hook that is going to do all your heavy lifting that you could ever need. And you can see what makes any hook land, why your current one is probably a bit too vague and not getting you the response that you want, and also kills your engagement, and how a little trick can shape whether people are watching you or just scrolling on and forgetting you even exist. Make sure to check it out at 10 a.m. Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, or Melbourne time if you're feeling fancy, or you can catch the replay whenever it suits. Confess your camera sins next week. Same time, same place.